So I'm taking this actually at my 9 to 5 gig. So that's why I gotta wear my Halloween tie. How you doing? Thanks
I'm
for
doing
uh
good.
thanks for meeting up.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to be able to talk again.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah. Uh, and with that, I thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview and be able to talk about a great album that's coming out tomorrow.
We're all very excited about it, you know? Very, very excited.
Oh, as you should be. I mean, of course, being able to keep track with the band and the entity known as them over the last several years, and just seeing everything that has been accomplished with the band, and seeing what's going on now with the whole story, and seeing the new chapter of the band here with Fierce City, and just seeing how the story has progressed. I love where everything has gone with this, and easily, it's one of my favorite albums of the year without question. I just love what you
Wow.
guys are doing here.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. That really that really makes me really happy to hear that. I mean, all of us when we hear things like that makes us feel like, oh, we're doing something right, right? So we write and we do and we create for ourselves first, you know, but we also know we're also fans, right? So as fans, we think about, how what we do, how it could be, interpreted or received, and we just, so we're creating for ourselves, but since we're fans, so we're kind of like we have to enjoy what we do, if that makes any sense. So, and it's been working out, and we're very, very excited where everything has taken us so far. We're very excited, potentially where it could go. And if you take all the albums, put them all together, it's one continuous story. And a lot of people didn't realize that in the very beginning. After the second release, they thought it was an independent record. A lot of people, some people, maybe like such as yourself, would really dive a little deeper into it, really understand the nuts and bolts of what's going on here. But on the surface, many people just look at it and they'll say, "Oh, it's another horror themed record. It might be a concept record, but it's something different." They didn't really understand that it was actually literally a literal continuation. Now, from the first three records to this record, Fear City, KK Fossor, the protagonist that I portray and sing as, he dies at the end of the third record, right? So he dies in Return to Hemismore. There's this evil spirit that actually at first makes its appearance on the first record called the Crimson Corpse, and the Crimson Corpse wants KK's soul. We don't really truly understand why, but the Crimson Corpse wants his soul. So essentially, KK at one particular point becomes possessed by the Crimson Corpse. KK is just like it's just one of these things he's trying to get away from, and people hate him, and he looks evil. He lost his entire family. So but the Crimson Corpse has always been there trying to get at him. And at the end of the third record, KK had his assistant bring the body of Mary Hawthorne, who he had to sacrifice at the end of the first record. He had Remsen go back to Sweet Hollow, dig up the body, and on the 7-inch that we released, the rare release of the 7-inch Back in the Garden Where Death Sleeps, that's where Remsen, his assistant back then, goes back and digs up the body of Mary Hawthorne and brings it back, and he stumbles upon his master's in trouble, and he saves him. And the two of them, they flee back. They go back to Hemismore, so KK can attempt to resurrect the spirit, the soul of his daughter back into the vessel of Mary Hawthorne. And he thought he was successful, and he was successful, but at the very end, it wasn't his daughter Miranda, it was actually the Crimson Corpse. And the Crimson Corpse threw him for a spin, sucked him to the earth, and he yells out, "Remsen, don't forget your bloodline." don't forget. And he gets sucked away. He's dead. He's done. He's gone. Remsen, not knowing what just happened, he doesn't understand what happened, and he's lost without his master. He's a very, Frankenstein, Igorish type of maniacal, crazy character, and he's very dependent on his master. So he actually hears KK's voice in the song "The Encore," which was released just as a streamable format by Steamhammer back in December, that goes a little bit more into depth as to what is his purpose. And you hear KK's voice stating, don't forget your bloodline. Your bloodline has great importance to our future. You have seed to sow. You have seed to sow. So it's left on a note that it's understood that Remsen, as lost as he is, must find his way by procreating and creating offspring, where down the road, once KK found the way to get back, he would, he would have the ability to have, he needs his assistant. So there's like this codependency between the two of them, even though KK is really the brains of the outfit and the brawn of the outfit, so to speak. Remsen does exactly what he was supposed to do. So at one particular point, 100 years after the end of Return to Hemsmore, KK is resurrected by a toxic chemical spill that occurred right outside the town of Hemsmore, and he comes back, and he with no not a blink of an eye, he's right back where he was. He knows he needs to find Thompson and kill him. Wait, Thompson is dead. He already died. He died in the last album, but his bloodline still exists. He must sever the bloodline. He needs his assistant. He finds out that his assistant, the lineage points to New York. He flies on the Concorde. This technological advancement is overwhelming to him, and it's so overwhelming, and it also is in constant battle with other emotions that he has, still grieving over the loss of his family and what Thompson has done. So that keeps him in focus, is what Thompson has done. Thompson actually did kill his family. So he must make sure that this evil bloodline is severed forever. And he's not going to stop until he either dies or he's successful. So he goes to New York in Fear City, and Fear City is also the name of that was a nickname that was given to New York City back in the late 70s, early 80s because of the high crime, prostitution, drugs that occurred, and it's a very grimy, gritty era. I should know, I grew up in that era, and I remember quite well walking through some of the streets at night with my dad, who was a cop at the time. So I guess we're kind of safe to a degree, right?
Mhm.
So if you think about all the stories, including this one, the title really signifies a place. Okay, Sweet Hollow is a real place. Okay, it exists on Long Island, New York. It's the real name of it is called Melville Cemetery. The locals call it Sweet Hollow because it actually is located on Sweet Hollow Road. The next album out of the Seven Gables is really House of the Seven Gables, which is located in Salem, Massachusetts. And then Return to Hemsmore, a little town outside of Austria. It's the place is the location of where this segment of the story it takes place. So there's some fact, there's a ton of fiction in a real life scenario. That's pretty much what I've been doing thematically. And so now we're in New York, and KK finds his the descendant of Remsen, who's Ronaldo, and Ronaldo is this very 80s Brooklynese. Hey Tony, KK, I'm gonna help you out. He's just this Brooklynese, very New Yorker, a very New York sounding individual, and he's there to help him. He was aware through his growing up and what he has heard from his family that one day this might happen. He might be called upon to help KK. And so they meet, and they meet at Studio 54, which actually was a um, a real club back in that time period, and a lot of celebrities, a lot of parties occurred there. So it was a great place for them to meet. But they continued their trip, and each song title on Fear City directly aligns with an area that they traveled through in their quest to find the descendant of Peter Thompson, who was the witch hunter. And now it's Minister Thompson. He's the great great grandson of Peter Thompson, and he's a televangelist in the 80s. And some of us really know what that means. And but that was just his facade, because in reality, he's the underground kingpin of New York. And that's really at the tail end of the story. That part is revealed, and we don't know what could happen after that. So this is all thematically, right? But
Oh, of
let's talk
course.
about let's talk about the music. Great music, a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and with that as well, it's just like obviously now learning more about thematically what's going on. I mean, obviously when you listen to the album, you get the ideas, but hearing you actually say it, it's just like all the pieces are coming together with that. Musically, everything does fit the mold so well because it does feel like it has like that dark, seedy overtone. Throughout the album, when you finally get into Fear City, and you just it just has that great early 80s feel behind it, and it feels like you're in the midst of New York City. And of course, just it's great atmosphere to be able to throw that kind of situation in there. And with you being so familiar with it, I imagine that had to be fun, just being able to like go back and just like think of all of these different things that could really work for the story.
Oh, without a doubt. It was very, very, it was just the whole thing, the whole project was a lot of fun. It was really great. The intro was um, a lot of fun, even more fun for me. I actually, well, we had the band record the music, but I created the editing, and I'm the one who picked out uh, all the little snippets that you hear in the intro. And really, what that represents is someone who was channel surfing back in that time period, right? There's no remote control where you press buttons and sit there. You actually had to go to the TV and actually turn the knob on the TV, and it would make that click sound. And so, as a person is channel surfing back in that time period, that you hear various clips of TV commercials, news programs. They're all relevant to that time period. And one Easter egg, which is very interesting, is I used to be a child model and actor, and one of the commercials I did is even in there.
Oh, wow.
It's called Shoots Away Night Rescue. And if you looked it up on YouTube, you'll see I was the boy playing the Shoots Away game. And so I took a snippet of that even and put it in there. And some of the other famous types of TV commercials. There's like Atari in there, Coca-Cola. There was a very popular electronics chain called Crazy Eddie. His prices are insane. So I want my MTV, that sort of stuff. That's all in there, but just enough to give the listener a gist of, hey, I'm in the 80s. We're in the 80s, and this is where it's taking place. You have the emergency announcement. KK takes his breath of fresh air, and he's back. And now the quest continues. See, a lot of people think that, oh, the first three records, that was like a trilogy, and now this is a whole new story. Nope, it's literally a continuation, but there was a pause for 100 years. So it's like, let's 100-year pause, it continues. And now, KK looks a little different. He's still ticked off, I mean, he's pretty pissed off because he lost his family, still grieving over that. And, you have different people chasing him. In this story, Minister Thompson, aka the Kingpin, right? He knows, he's expecting this. He knows this. So what we did is another little like because there are some Easter eggs on this record, but one great Easter egg which I love is a tip of the hat to the movies The Warriors, where they had a radio DJ that would tell the whereabouts of the Warriors' location, so the other gang members in the movie could hunt them down and kill them, or whatever, just bring them to their justice, whatnot. So we have a radio DJ that tells Minister Thompson's men the whereabouts of KK, and he's coming after him. And oh, Mr. Fossor dropped the ball. There's a knife dropped, and he's still on the hunt. He's still on the prowl, and that's just to notify the men of Thompson's crew. Excuse me, sorry. Anyway, so all these little Easter eggs, all these little you know, little homage. Sorry. Hold on. You can edit it, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. So as I was saying, all the little Easter eggs that we throw in, they have meaning. They always have. On the last record, I had the last record, Return to Hemsmore, in a song called Hellhounds, the Harbingers of Death. You heard a dog barking. It took me a week to create those samples of my Great Dane, who is actually also on the cover in the artwork. So there's just little, yeah. So I get inspiration from family, from friends, from objects around me, from movies, books. I just get all this inspiration, and I try to include family and friends and things that I love and I'm passionate about in the stories, or to help us, um, you know, create this vision. So now with this one, with this record, Fear City, the character's a little different. There are two descendants, right? As we said, Ronaldo is the descendant of Remsen, his prior assistant 100 years before. And then you have Thompson, Minister Thompson, aka the Kingpin. He's the descendant of Peter Thompson. Now, Valerie was a key individual, a key character in the story, because Valerie, she's not a direct descendant, but she's the prostitute who actually had serviced Thompson. So she knows his whereabouts. Ronaldo knew that she had an idea of where he was, and that's why Ronaldo and KK go to Valerie, the streetwalker, and she takes them to Minister Thompson. So things happen along the way. There is a death on the downtown metro, which is one of the songs. I'm not going to really reveal too much of what's going on, because that way, maybe, some of your audience can, they can interpret what is going on, what is happening on their own. That's part of the fun, right? Is to understand how a story and how they put things together, and then also just to listen to the music. And as a group, that is always priority number one, is the music. We always say music is number one, because that's what this is about, right? The story and the theme and whatnot, that's a close second in this case. We're not a type of band where we just put jeans on and just get up on stage, or on a regular another type of costume and get up on stage. Everything is calculated, everything is detailed, everything has a purpose. Everything from the look of the band to the artwork, everything. So everything has been thought out, and we just hope everybody, appreciates what we put into it. I mean, they don't have to necessarily love it. They don't have to necessarily even like it. Sometimes, people, they'll say, "Oh wow, this is a King Diamond ripoff or King Diamond clone." Well, honestly, you know what? I understand because of the history of the group where we came from, but because we were a King Diamond tribute originally. I was actually the only member that was in the King Diamond tribute. None of these guys were in the original version of our band. But I just all I wanted to do was do a heavier band, okay? Add some of that singing style into it. I love horror. I love the theatrical part of it, and it was just a perfect segue into what we do. The first album that we did, Sweet Hollow, definitely without a doubt, is more of a homage to King. And it sounds more like what would King Diamond sound like if the music was heavier, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And that's what we wanted to do. But there's more to an evolution of a band than just staying stagnant in one particular place, right? So a lot of critics recently for this record, they're saying, oh, the singer is straying more and more away from the high falsettos. And you know what? I've always wanted to use the falsettos as a vocalist for flavor, for flair, not to rely heavily on that. I could sing full songs like that. I could sing exactly, but then I'm gonna sound like I'm trying to imitate King Diamond, you know? I want to do me. I want to be me. And being me as a vocalist is what I feel. What do I feel at the moment? What do I feel would sound great singing to in this passage or in this song? And that's how I've always done everything whenever I've written songs. It's what do I feel for that song? You can listen to other songs that I've recorded with other bands and I sound completely different. That's why I won't say like I'm a singer. I'm a vocalist because I vocalize depending on what the mood is, what the need is for it. And in this case, I feel I'm a good pairing for this particular project because of the nature of it and this concept. It's the whole project is a concept. So a vocalist is more appropriate than a singer, and that's pretty much it. So take it away. What
Oh,
else? What else you want to talk
oh,
about?
totally. And you're echoing so much my sentiments when it comes to that as well too. Like I love the fact that the band is constantly evolving, and it's you can evolve in so many different ways, but it's just like I feel like with Fear City, it's like you're matching the tone of where the location is, like you mentioned. Obviously with covering New York City in the early 80s, you want to be able to have that kind of tone. And I feel like the music is very representative of that. I feel the vocals are very representative of that. And it's just like of course critics and other people can have their different say, where to me it just feels like it's a natural progression of where the story is taking place, and that's what's got me excited ever since I just discovered the first release and all the way up now through Fear City, and like really dissecting the story and just being able to appreciate it with all these different listens going throughout the entire album, and being able to go from album to album listening to each of these subsections of this full story. And it's where it's naturally going right now, to me. And whether you're throwing in more falsettos, you're throwing in more heavy riffs, whether you're throwing in more 80s influences, it's just like it's where the story needs to go with what you're trying to tell it, and it fits so well, and it hits everything that I'm looking for, which is why I'm in love with this album so much. And I feel like it's the best them album to date, because it's just like this was and I mean, I couldn't really expect where it was going to go, but it feels like such a natural place for it to go here in 2022.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear. It's very interesting you say that. I mean, when when our label heard the record, they said something similar that, they thought it was the best them record yet. And like where do if that is the case, where do you go? We will, hopefully we'll continue to write some good stuff, and I don't see that a problem, as far as how we write and how we work together. We're very close, even though, the band is segregated across two continents. And, I mean, I could just jump on a plane and fly into Frankfurt, and be at their house in like an hour, So it's really not, it's not, even though we're geographically segregated, it's still the vibe that we have with and how we gel with one another, it doesn't matter. If we were there, we wouldn't sit in a room together and write music. We would, like if I lived in Germany or the whole band was from Germany, we wouldn't write like in the traditional sense where a band gets together and they work on songs. No, it's like you have a few songwriters, you have other, all the band members contribute without a doubt. All the band members write their own parts and they contribute. And sometimes, you know what, another member might say, "Oh, instead of you doing that, how about doing this?" And vice versa. I mean, as a singer, I can tell one of the guitar players, "Hey, look, instead of that, why don't you do this?" And if it's cool, if it makes the song better, they're all up for it. And that's how we operate. We operate as a team. But you have your core people that create the structure, and then everybody contributes to it. And we just work great together, and we churn out these records pretty quick. I mean, we've been doing this now, what, since 2015-ish, when we've been actively doing this. And it's, what is it, 6 7 years, 7 years, and we have 4 records. That's actually pretty good. It's like what, an average of 2 a year, just about. Not bad. So I would love to continue doing that. It's a lot of work, but I would love to continue doing that. If everybody involved wants that, we'll continue. And then the story goes wherever it goes. And I actually have a lot of ideas and some pretty cool stuff that I'm thinking, but it wouldn't be, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a cookie cutter format. Let's just put it that way. It wouldn't be a cookie cutter format. It would be there would be definitely like, oh wow, it's the story is now here, and but it's still conducive. It still flows. It's still a correct flow, but it's not. It wouldn't be a cookie cutter. So it's not like, oh, okay, well, now this is what's going to happen. They're going to repeat exactly the same type of format. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. That sort of thing. I wouldn't expect that.
Oh, yeah, and I wouldn't expect that either. I mean, obviously, I mean, even with Fear City, like I didn't expect where it was going to be going with the story. But I love the fact that it went in this direction, and that's, like if everything does go in the right direction, I can't wait to see what happens next. And the fact that I've been able to check out this album and just enjoy it so much, and I keep saying it. It is one of my favorite albums of the year because it hits all of these different notes and cylinders that I've been looking for you guys, and just like going beyond my expectations of where the band could go. So the fact that you already have all these ideas that could be so abstract from what people expect has me so excited.
That's awesome to hear, Josh. I've listened. Me personally, I've listened to this record probably a few hundred times already after it was completed. And I have to put it aside, and I'm starting to pick it up again just to, is there anything that could have been different? Is there anything that could have been added? Did I miss anything? I'm pretty content, and I think the other guys are pretty content as well. Um, One thing that I'm really blown away about is this tremendous positive response for one of the songs on the record in particular, "The Crossing of Hellgate Bridge," and that song is over 9 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And when I first got a hold of that, I said to myself, I've never written over a song because the way we work, the music is written, and then I layer my stuff over it, right? So I get this song, and it to me it could almost be like an instrumental. And I said, wow, I'm gonna have a really tough time with this because it's so long. But oddly enough, I didn't have as much of a difficult time because what I did was I broke it down strategically. I broke it down in order to write correctly for it, and I'm very pleased with what I contributed to that track. I'm very proud of Marcus Johansson, who's the one who wrote that song, and it's literally like 3 songs. I mean, it's over 9 minutes, and it definitely is a song that keeps your interest. And a lot of the critics, all the reviews are coming out. It's starting to come out, and everybody loves that song. They love that song. They said they call it epic. They call it, it's like the best song yet. It's the best song in the album, and that's cool. I mean, again, I think there's a little bit. Well, not again. I'm telling you this the first time. I think there's a little bit, a little something for everyone. So depending on, if you like your music heavier, there's a few heavier stuff, songs on there's a few heavier tracks on there. If you like a more commercial sound, there's Retro 54. If you like, thrash, there's just a little bit of something for everyone. And I like that. I like the dynamics of record. Because as our German guitar player Marcus Ulrich says, he says, why make every song exactly the same? Like there are many bands that every song pretty much sounds the same. I mean, the band could be awesome, and I'm not naming names, but band could be awesome, but if you look at it, overview, you have an overview, and you say, you know what, this band is awesome. You know what? Every song has a very similar vibe. Maybe that's really what I'm thinking about is the vibe. The vibe is different. Our vibes are different. And on all of our records, we have different vibes going on. And this one I think is more pronounced, the vibes, because there's dabbling in death metal, there's like Death on the Downtown Metro is a pretty heavy duty song. I mean, I'm curious if we ever play it live, but it's interesting because it's fast, and and there's like, also in the Consecrated House of Sin, there's some like, black metal, um undertow, like just underlying elements of black metal going on there. And here my character, myself, is singing over this, and no matter what it is, there's cohesiveness going on, and there's melody, and but there are times in the past, and there could be times in the future, maybe I'll have more falsetto. And I just thought that the way things are going, I just wanted to be me, just be me, and add flair, add flavor. And when I record the vocals, I record 30 to 40 tracks of vocals. So for each song, that's a lot. And I do it usually on an average of 2 to 2.5 hours per song for like a 3 to 4 minute song. The song's longer than that, like in the case of the 9 minute song, I thought that was going to take over 5 hours, but it actually took about 3.5 to a little under 4 hours ish. And I just, we work. When we go in the studio, everything is prepared, everything is laid out, everything is mapped out. We go in and we work, and then we drink vodka. Gotta have some
That's a good
good
way to
vodka.
celebrate.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a celebration at the end.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I can say again, I think the work on this album is more than warranted of all the praise that um, I'm hearing from yourself. I'm hearing from other journalists. Seeing the video for "Welcome to Fear City," all the great response that I've seen for that. I love the video. I love the aesthetics of that so much. It's just like there's so much to love about this album and this band. If you do love metal, if you do love horror, if you do love an underlying story that's going throughout the whole discography of the band, I mean, there's so much to appreciate. And just here with Fear City coming out again tomorrow through Steam Hammer, I love everything that's going on with it. And I love the fact that I'm seeing the band constantly rise in popularity with each release, and just seeing where things are going, where things could go potentially, live shows that could come from this as well too. It's just like there's so many great
Oh yeah.
things that come from this, and I'm glad to see this album has seen the light of day here in 2022, and it's got me excited for the future.
Well, we're very excited for the future as well, Josh, and we're also very excited once we know we can like book a tour or book shows. It's very difficult for a band like us since we're segregated on two different continents. we have to be 100% sure that we're not going to waste money and time, that once we book something, it's going to happen. Because in today's day and age, there's still a lot of shows getting canceled left and right, especially in Europe. And we do, we definitely do a run over there. So right now we're just holding back, and apparently well, word has it that we're gonna wind up doing something in probably the spring, in support of this record. I don't know if it's gonna be here in the States. I don't know if it's gonna be in Europe. I don't know if it's gonna be both yet. I don't know, but that's what we're striving for. And if it doesn't happen yet, then maybe the next record. But we're hoping to get out and play. We're itching to get out and play. We'd love to play, and that's another whole other set of gears. It's a whole other world. I like to play live, than to just write and record. And we get to now display what we created to an audience that may appreciate it, or that are just learning about the group. And then now they can go back and they could say, oh, look, let me check this out. I heard this band the first time. And that's, a number of times when we played live, we've had people come up to us and say, this is the first time I'm hearing you. Why haven't I heard of you before? So then they start following the group. And that's how it happens. And we never turn anybody away. We always embrace everybody when we perform live. We always go back to the merch table, and we congregate with people that that dig the band, and that came out and spend their hard money, and we spend some time with them. We talk with them, and it's always fun though, because like I'll go out like this, and I don't have the makeup on. I don't have long hair, and I have, like, just a t-shirt, sweatpants, and I walk up to people and say, hey, what did you think of that band that played? Oh, they were really good. Where were you? Oh, I was, I just got here. I'm sorry. Like, it's funny, and it's just, I like that. It's cool. Some people will know me and they'll come up to me, and we'll take pictures and talk and BS, and that's cool too. But I like to have that little anonymous, you know, air going on, where it just, and the other guys, they talk with everybody, but KK always comes out. KK always, embraces the crowd live, and he always goes back to the merch table, and he always goes back, and he spends some time, and he takes pictures, and and there's no VIP meet and greets, and none of that will ever exist with them. We really appreciate, our friends, our family, our fans, and we embrace that. So we don't, we do this. We don't do what we do to make $1 million. We do what we do, and we all have jobs that we need to pay our bills. This is, this allows us to express ourselves in a creative sense. It allows us to share with, the people that enjoy what we do. We share with them. We're sharing parts of us with them, and the only thing we wish is that some of the people that don't give us even more than 10 seconds. And just give it a few minutes. You might really like it. And if you don't like it, it's cool. But a lot of people in this day and age, they listen to something for 5 seconds, 10. Oh, no, that's, the latest now, we're ghost clones. I've seen so many people comment on different things, and it doesn't make me mad. It doesn't make me upset. I chuckle. You know, I think I know why. It's probably because of the logo. It's cut in a similar way as Ghost's logo. But the funny